I'm sure many of you with an interest in this subject will be aware of Francine's work, but by way of introduction I'll outline a little bit about her to you. Now then, she's actually French-Canadian, I think. She came to Britain in 1968 from Quebec to study ancient knowledge. Now she discovered the crop circle phenomena in 1989 and joined the Centre for Crop Circle Studies in 1991. And the following year she moved to Wiltshire, where they predominate, as you know, and where she could study the formations at close range. Now in 1995 she founded the Wiltshire Crop Circle Study Group. I think a few of you are familiar with that, especially Brian. Brian knows all about it, don't you, Brian? Yeah. Now that grew within 4 years to worldwide membership of, I understand, over 400 persons. And she's the coordinator of the group and editor of The Spiral, its monthly newsletter. Yeah, it used to be, yeah. And the aim was to study the phenomenon in all its aspects, physical, metaphysical and spiritual. Now to this effect she photographed many of the crop circle designs from 1995 until 2012, both on the ground and from helicopters. She's also observed many strange lights and orbs, and even a UFO over the area, I believe. She may tell you about that a little later. The group contributed to further the scientific evidence, collecting specimens of wheat and earth from within the crop design formations to be analysed in laboratories in the UK and the USA. Now she's examined the effects of crop circles on plants and the soil and explored some of the meanings contained in the geometric designs. She's led many group tours and presented many lectures via platform television and radio on the subject of crop circles, ancient knowledge and about ancient sites. She also staged an annual 2-day conference for over 15 years in Marlborough College, Wiltshire, with up to 500 attendees and speakers from across the world. Francine has presented the phenomenon throughout the British Isles and also in France, Belgium, Switzerland, the USA, Canada, South Africa, India and Brazil, amongst others. Enjoys a worldwide reputation for her work. She's actually now living in Southwest Wales, and she's travelled up here today to be with us tonight to discuss all matters connected with this subject. So, without further ado, please put your hands together for Mrs. Francine Blake.
I always find it difficult when people talk about me. I don't know. It makes me a bit shy. Thank you very much for talking about this subject. It's an amazing, it's totally an extraordinary phenomenon. I mean, I'm always amazed that so few people know it, and so people have heard, seen them. But everywhere in the world you have crop circles all over the world, and here as well. In fact, in this area. And in the 80s, the late 80s, I used to come here and find the crop circles here in this part of the world actually, and then I concentrated to where we are in Wiltshire at the moment, because that's where they're the most numerous there. So the crop circles are usually found near ancient sites, like monuments. Where's my pocket? Where did I put that now? Oh, in my pocket. That's clever, isn't it? Right. the crop circles come near the ancient sites, and that's all over the world. I don't know if it is to bring us there, perhaps because it's attractive and people have discovered new areas, new places where people didn't realize there were sacred sites there. But the crop circle and the sacred sites go together. Next. So that's Avebury. I don't know, you might have heard about Avebury, but it is an ancient temple, which is 2,000 years. I don't know exactly the age, but it's very ancient. And tell me about it.
2000 BC.
Yeah, 2000 BC, not just 2000. So you've got Avebury here. It is a temple serpent. You see it got the tail there and the head there. Of course now there's only a few stones that are, well actually there's quite a few here, but nothing like that actually, you know. It's a big monument and it's a very important one. And this is in this area that you find the crop circles. Yes. Because it's sacred land, it's a sacred place. So they're not just in this country. This is in Ohio, the Serpent Mound at Adams Country, and you can see there again well,
Like a snake.
the snake. Well, that's right. It is. Next. And Silver Hill, you've got areas in England where there is a lot of energy and there's a lot of ancient knowledge there. And here, this is one of them, is Silbury Hill. And Silbury Hill is an ancient mound that was at a certain point very damaged. And they had to open it and go and do some remedial work to this monument. But it is a monument that gives us a lot of energy, and it's very important. And it is also around this area that the crop circle happened. Next.
You're one of the few to have been inside.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I have been inside the Silbury Hill. You know, sometimes in life things happen, and you wonder how come that happened. But at some point where there was a lot of problem with at Silbury Hill, and it was starting to break down inside. And somebody else that I knew very well at that time, and he couldn't go in with the people who were working to trying to make it better. And he gave me he said, you can take my place. And that was absolutely amazing, because it was absolutely amazing because we went inside the monument there, and it was quite something, I can tell you. But it is around this area that there's so much activity.
It's like a battery, isn't it?
It is almost like a battery. That's right. There's a kind of movement of, you know, like boom, boom. You feel like that inside. You know? Next. Yeah. So there's a lot of white horses as well. When I'm showing it now is that it is around this area that the crop circles are the most prolific. Next. You can see Silbury Hill. Avebury is just there at the back there, the little village. And this is an ancient borough. So there are very important barrows here, and that's a crop circle right next to it. And they are for, you know, when you look at a crop circle, what is really amazing, first of all, there is knowledge in it, but secondly, they are absolutely beautiful, and they're faultless. You know, you don't see anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's absolutely perfect. And nobody has ever seen one happening, you know, just suddenly arriving there, like that. Next.
West Kennet Long Barrow.
West Kennet Long Barrow, that's right. It's an ancient barrow here. Next. Right. So the crop circle are in a particular area of the land, and people in the past were very concerned about things like that, you know, out of the ordinary. This is what's the word I'm looking for?
Devil mower.
Yes, it's devil mower. You know, there is a field that is perfectly well, and then suddenly you wake up in the morning and it's like a crop circle. And this one is 1678. So it's very ancient, and it's the first design that we see to show that there was a crop circle there. It's not new. The crop circles are not new. Next. Now, when you go and visit a crop circle, for years we've done that, and we've collected a lot of crops, you know, the crops that is from the same field, and the control that is outside, just outside the crop circle is like this, is normal, is stand up, and this is inside the crop circle. So you see that the control here is quite different, and it shows that it fell down. The design is fallen down, and it redress, and it stays like that. So it is absolutely extraordinary, actually. Next, you see, you've got cavities in there. So it shows that the steam comes out. When the field is subject to that kind of intensity, it kind of creates, you know, it opens up and it makes it expand and so on. Next. Another aspect is that the boussole, what do you call boussole?
Compass. Magnetic compass.
Magnetic compass. It doesn't show the north. It's lost the north. Funnily enough, it's quite surprising. Next. So there's been a lot of work done with the crop circles over the years, and a lot of analysis, and people don't accept that, and a lot of people don't accept that, and they don't realize really. But there were groups of people who actually would take the wheat, would you know, put it under the microscope, all sorts of things like that, and when you take, we put water in a bucket, and then you put it in a crop circle, and this is, you take the water from there, and you see, you know, it's perfectly normal. Next. But in the crop circle, next. Well, you see? Next. Next. That's inside the crop circle, and the other one, look the other one first. This is in the field, all right? And you look under the microscope, and in the water, that's what you see. But in the actual field, and right next to it, where the crop circle is, next, it's like this. Now, that's quite different. Yeah? So there's an imprint, and you actually see that it looks like the little, help me, Danny.
Yeah, wheats of corn.
Yeah, the wheats, that's right, the wheats of corns, the ears of corns, you can see that. But this is in water. This is when you look in the microscope at water, that's what you see.
20,000 magnification.
Yeah, 20,000 magnification. Next. So when we start to study the crop circles, we want to know what's going on. So people started to actually collect samples, and they put pots and pans and things to let the water go into the water and see what happens if, you know, what happens in the crop circle actually. Next. So that if you take the water, it looks like that. I want you to go back actually. You go back. The water that comes out of this design leaves an imprint. Now show me the picture, and it reproduced the pictures. You see? That's absolutely mind-boggling actually. You couldn't do that if you tried. I mean, it's impossible. Next.
That's magnified again, isn't it?
Magnified, yes, very high. Next. So you've got a crop circle there, you've got here, that's again a crop circle, and we took the water and we put it on the microscope, and lo and behold, boom. It's the same, isn't it? I mean, it's amazing, really. Okay, next. 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 See? Similar pattern. Go back again. There it is. That's the design of the crop circle. We put water in it in bottles, and then when we look in the microscope, bang, we see a similar pattern. Next. And the crop circle day here, I wanted to show you that because when you go inside a crop circle, you very often can't see it. You know, you can't see that. And I went to see it actually, because I was taking a picture, since that's some years ago, and I took pictures, this one, and you can see there is a little bit of a, you know, you can see that something happened to it, but it's not flat on the ground. But when I took a picture from the air, next, from that design, I mean, you know, it's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's in Bali.
It's in Bali. Beautiful. It goes down like that. And here, you see the design, but the design is so lightly pressed that you can hardly see it, and there it is now. Next. That's at Stonehenge. It's very close to Stonehenge now, and very beautiful, but very close to the hand. Next. Next. And here you see, look at that. There's a heart. There's a history about this. I was some years ago. I was contacted by an Indian woman, Indian from North America, not the Indian here, North American woman. And we became quite friendly and everything. And she said, "Oh, I really would like to see the crop circle." And said, "Well, she's from America, South America. You know, it's quite a long way." But she came, and I took her to see that. And well, carry on. Right? No, I think I got the wrong thing there.
Well, she
I
wouldn't go into it, would she?
Yeah, she said she would not go into it because it is too sacred. She absolutely refused to go in there. She said, "I am not worthy." And she would see it from afar, but she said, "It's too sacred for me." Next. Now, in blue, it's very, very rare. I've only known of one in that color, but it is fabulous to see that. It's, you know, it's very, very flax. It's in flax. It's rare. I've never seen a crop circle like that before. Next. And this is a corn on the cob. It's corn, yes. You know, when you, I don't know if you've ever been into a field of cob, corn on the cob. It's incredibly stiff. You can't bend it. Even with you break it actually if you try to bend that. And so this is extraordinary to see a field of wheat, of corn, with that design like this. It's like it's easy to do. It's not easy, it's terribly difficult. But, you know, it is amazing to have that in that medium.
Isn't it taller than a human?
Yeah.
So they can't see where they're going.
Yeah, that's right. Maize it's taller than me. Well, not very tall, but I mean, even that, it's quite high, you know. And you can't see anything. And I had great difficulty. I went with other people, it's a small group, and we're trying to find it because, as I said, it's so high that it's hard to see the picture. Why did you cut me off there like that?
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's extraordinary because the fluidity of the design, the way it's laid down, and the medium, which is so difficult to bend, it's almost impossible to do that. You know, it breaks. It doesn't bend in a soft way. Next. Now we see things like that swirls around. You know, they are in nature certain ways that certain things that, like the crop circle, is not supposed to be the way it should be. You know. Next. Right, that's a crop circle. We'll get back to that, but I was interested in this to see that because it looks like a little wool. It's wool, isn't it? It's like it was all twisted up, and this face is like un mouton. Qu'est-ce que c'est un mouton? Je me souviens plus. A sheep. Yeah, it's like the head of a sheep. You see, so that and it was impossible to undo. It was quite extraordinary. Next. Yeah. It's very, very beautiful and it's faultless. You know, it's always absolutely perfect. Yes.
And it's very strong in the centre.
Yeah, very
Put
strong.
a child on it.
Yeah, that's right. You can sit. We sat a little child on this, and it didn't damage it. It was so twisted, so tight that you could sit a child there. Next. And look at this here. Yeah, this is going in. That was extraordinary. We didn't, because there's no rhyme or reason. There's nothing. There's no pattern. But yes, it's perfect, absolutely perfect and beautiful. Next. Right. This is the longest crop circle that so far that we discovered. In 1994, there was a crop circle half a mile long. Can you imagine that? Half a mile long. I mean, it's amazing, really. Next. It happened, the longest crop circle, 8/10 of a mile, 1996. Look at that. Goes all the way up there. So it's not a small thing. It's very big and it's very it's magnificent. It's lovely. It's perfect. Next. Now, there's been a lot of research over the years, and people have analyzed the crop circle. The plants were, for many, many years, people have been taking the plants and have them analyzed in the microscope and so on, and we find out, what's going on, etc. But what also happens sometimes is that when we take the pictures, and this was very fresh, and I happened to be there actually. There's a person there actually. I don't know if it was me at that time. I think I was in an airplane when I took it. But you look at it and you see these extraordinary different, like it's all strange, isn't it? It's not normal. You look at that and it's not normal. Next.
Indicate the energy.
Yeah, it does indicate the energy. I want to see the next slide now. And there it is. But the photograph I've shown you, and then you see, when I took the picture, I didn't see that. I was taking this picture here, and when I took the when I looked at the photograph, when I opened the thing, you could see that here the shadow, and it's like what do you call it?
Spaceship.
Spaceship, actually. Yeah, I think it's like a spaceship. And there's the crop circles here, and we saw, kind of, I don't know, it felt like a way of telling us telling us things about the world and so on. But that's just pretty amazing. Next. And then another one here, the crop circle, and above it you've got this UFO there. That's very rare. It's the only time I saw it. I've seen that. Next. And in absolute daylight, I'm taking pictures there. I was in the crop circle, I'm taking photographs of the plants and everything else, and it's bright, sunny, and everything, and look what it came in my camera, It completely changed everything, actually. It was quite interesting.
Orbs.
Yeah, and two orbs, the orbs there. Next. And there we are, so it is in the same, what I've just shown you was what I was taking pictures of, and there was a group of us in the field, fresh, the crop circle was very, very fresh, And you see these balls of light here, and you can see that there is movement because it's dark at the bottom. And another part of the field, you've got, again, these orbs. And we're there, and none of us saw them. You never see that, actually. It's always, I don't know why, but I've never managed to catch one, and, you know, the camera will catch it, but we won't see it with our eyes, which is pretty strange. And again, it's in bright daylight, and you see that. I thought they were like little fairies. Fairies, yeah, area, in broad daylight. Next. Again, you look at this design, and of course you have to look from the air, and people sitting there and so on talking. This is a group of people here, and you look at that, and you swear that it is voluminous. There is a volume to it, but there isn't actually. You know, it's just the way that it's laid down that it creates this amazing design. Actually, in fact, it's totally mind-boggling, really.
Is it a fractal?
It is a fractal. What's going on? Next. Have to be careful with crossover, I'll tell you. Next. So when you look at it and you analyze it, you see the design, the way, you know, that if you go back again, if you go back to line, we look at that, you see, and we want to find out what it means, and etc., etc., but also next. So you can see that it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's divided into 7. And here you divide into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 again. So you have a geometry in these design in the crop circles. Next. It's not just beautiful, you know, it has meaning, it's quite extraordinary. And when I went into the crop circle, if you go back again now, go. This is the design that I was looking at, and I was taking pictures. And move it now. Next. And when we entered that, and I was not the only one to do that, it looked an absolute mess. You can see, I mean, it's just awful. And yet it was so beautiful. Next. I think it was a slide of it. No. Is it the one, this one?
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
On the ground like that.
The ground like this, you see? I mean, in the ground, people would come in and say, "Wow, rubbish, I'm going home." No. And when we saw it from the air, this is what we were seeing. It's pretty amazing. It's almost like it's woven. You see? Next. Again, we look at this. When you start going around it in the airplane, it will change. It changes the design next. Yeah. It's not the same. Yes, it's totally, it's really extraordinary. And what was interesting too was, because crop circles normally are open, you can enter it with no problem, but this one didn't have an entrance. And you had, well, we had to go, you know, like this. If you follow it, it creates all sorts of patterns. Quite amazing. Next. Stonehenge in 1996, where they had a crop circle that appeared, and it had 151 circles in it. It arrived between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And it has a history, because this thing is very close to Stonehenge, so it was very, very sensitive area. And the farmer who owns the land there, used to be, not anymore, but at that time he was very, very aggressive. And very, you know, if you talk about crop circles, he would completely hit the roof. It was very, very difficult to deal with, to talk to him. Anyway, so this was a crop circle in there that happened at 5:30 and between 5:30 and 6 p.m. Next.
Well, it's worth talking about the taxi that went overhead. One way, didn't see it, and then coming back.
Yeah, but that's right, that's right. Yeah, exactly. We you know, people, there was a man who it happened in a very, very short time. I think that's right, 5:30 and 6 p.m. So, yes, the farmer, the farmer who owns the land here was a very, very aggressive man. And because he had a lot of crop circle on his land and he was getting absolutely fed up and didn't like it at all. And so one day he went to have a look at, I don't know, his field here, that, you know, that was a normal field. And when you came back from working, the crop circle was there. So it happened very rapidly. It happened in the afternoon, and you know, this is a very quick thing. Next.
He wouldn't let anybody in, would he? And then you told him that he could charge.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. That's true. He didn't want anybody to go in. He was very aggressive. He was aggressive by nature. I knew him very well, and he's very difficult to deal with. But you know, so he went back to his home, and then when he came back to go to his place, the crop had happened in the afternoon. So it was a big shock for him. And in actual fact, it was such a shock that it changed his way of thinking completely. You know, he started to think that something was, you know, so amazing.
He charged people to get in.
Yeah.
Made a fortune.
That's right, that's true. It's true. He changed. In fact, I told him that. It's me who told him that. I said, he was saying it's terrible, everybody comes into my field, blah, 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 and I'm really fed up, and he was very angry with me. And I said, well, charge, you know, charge a certain amount, you know. So he went, oh. And he did charge, and with the receipt that he was, you know, the money that he was given by people who went to see his crop circle was quite good, and he and his wife went and did, what did they do?
On a magnificent holiday.
Yeah, he went on a very nice holiday, thank you very much. And he was totally converted. Okay, next. Oh yeah, he said they're there. Oh, these crop circles, they're fantastic. Next. And another beautiful design. Next.
I'll ask them what they think could be better than that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll ask them.
Yeah, I will ask them.
Well, you need to do it.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, well, it is. I mean, this is built on a hill. This is the one next to the farmer, actually, by the way. And it's so beautiful, and it's so perfect. It's totally perfect. You know, you look at it, and it takes you quite a long way quite a lot of time to actually do one arm, and then 3 arms is just unbelievable. And people actually tend to lie down and fall asleep because it's, you know, you are being recharged. Yeah. What else did you want to say?
What could follow?
Yeah, what could do? Is it possible to do something better than that? It's so amazing. It really is. Next. It is amazing, isn't it? I mean, you look at it, and I spend a lot of time in this particular crop circle, and I can tell you that people were just, you wouldn't walk, we couldn't do it. We could not walk the whole thing at once. It was impossible. Just couldn't do it. And people would come in and lie down and just fall asleep because there's very strong energy in there. There's no word to explain it. I mean, the thing, you look at it, it looks like they've got little hats, like, you know, Chinese little hats there on their head, and it's all extraordinary, really. And I have a story about this. I've got lots of stories about crop circles, but this one in particular, it was quite close to the White Horse, which is quite not far from us. And, you know, that day I just had a look at the field, and we go right past it, and there's all, you know, and we could see this field quite clearly. And, yeah, I'm trying to understand now. What was it I was going to say?
Well, your lawyer friend was camped the night.
Oh yes, that's right. I have a friend there who lives in London, and he is, I don't remember what his, I think he works as a lawyer, and he loves the crop circle, and he lived in London. He came to look at the fields, and there was nothing in the fields, and he was disappointed, and he went back and went into his tent, which is somewhere over there. And as he was getting ready for bed, there was a barrow next to him, who the badgers, you know, the badgers ran out of the field in front of him, and he was finding that very peculiar. Why would why would this animal do that? And it's because the crop circle had arrived, and he didn't really realize that anything was going on. And for starters, his tent was looking at the field the wrong way, so it's all happening behind him. And so having checked the area the night before, he didn't look at the field. So when he got to London, and the photograph was put on the, whatever, he was extraordinary. He was impressed, and he couldn't believe it, that it had happened whilst he was there, right behind him. That's quite a funny thing to experience, but this is what happens with the crop circles. Next. That's it, isn't it?
Projection centre.
Yeah.
Centres of central.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. You can see the tip there, because it's swirled, it has a center, and the centers are not in the middle. They're not in the middle. So if you try to do that kind of design in the field, in the wheat, you just can't do that. It's too complicated, too difficult. You know. And I've shown it to people who are very, very well versed in, that kind of that kind of thing, very impressed, because you just can't, it's very, very difficult to do, to put something there in the middle. You see what I mean? You know? Yeah. Next. I think it's the last one, is it? Next. Oh yeah, here we are. Look at that. You can see it's not in the middle. Can you see it?
Geometry of projection.
Yeah, it's a geometry of projection rather than construction. And to do something like that would take several days. And I know because the BBC some years ago wanted to do a crop circle to prove that it can be done. Of course it can be done, but it takes several days to do something like that, whereas a crop circle happens instantly. It's just instant. So there we are. That's it. There you go. Just show you some pictures now. Yeah? They're pretty. Next. Yeah. Look at that. That's it. There we are. Any question? Any question? Yeah?
Do you take samples
Yes.
from every crop circle
No,
you bring about? Why not?
because there are too many and there's too few. No, too few. Yeah, that's right. There's not the manpower to actually do all the crop circles. It's impossible. You know. And just to do one formation, it can take a week to actually analyze and all the rest of it. So it's too difficult, it's too much, it's not possible to do that. But we have a very, very big body of evidence over the years, and that is there. I've got a lot of that.
Do you get the same patterns occur in
No,
different places?
never a repeat. It's never been a repeat. That alone says a lot, because we can't do that normally.
You said that you send them for analysis. Is there any, apart from the structural change, the formation of the
Oh yes, I forgot to say that.
chemically different?
When we put the samples and we soak it in water, and we take a photograph and we see the pattern, that you see the pattern of the crop circle. I mean, that is it's totally extraordinary,
Is there any difference then chemically, as well as structurally, is there any difference in the chemical sort of makeup of the different crops? Do they not analyse that side?
Yes, we can. Well, the problem with the crop circles is that there have been hundreds and hundreds of crop circles, and very few people to study them, and no money, and a lot of farmers angry and all the rest of it. It's a very, very difficult subject. So we took samples from the earth and from the soil, and we analyzed that. We sent that to be analyzed at what do you call it? When you go to see everything analyzed.
You've got University of Warwick working with you
Well, that's right.
to analyse the seed heads that you have taken.
That's right, and we have some very good results, but we can't. You can work on one formation. You can take you 2 or 3 days to understand what's going on and analyze and all the rest of it. So to do, there's so many crop circles. There really are a lot there's a lot of them. So we do manage to, and we did in the past. I put that in the past because I'm not doing it anymore. I'm too old and too tired, actually. It's been quite long. It's difficult working in the field and all the rest of it. So I want the young people to start doing the job. But there's been a lot of analysis done on the crop circle, and all of them are. They're not normal anymore. It's not normality. Something's happened to the plant. And something happened to the soil. And the soil, in the soil, if you take the analysis of the soil, it's much more fertile than the rest of the field, which is a good sign, because the land at the moment is quite poor. The way that it's treated is quite poor. But in the crop circle, where you have a crop circle coming into your land, and it's happened many, many times, there is an input of energy when the crop circle comes in. It's like an eclair. How do you say an eclair? Darling, help me. It's like a thunder, not thunder, but the light going into the soil. Energy goes lightning. It's like lightning, and if you deal with the crop circle like I did for many years, you sense that something is going to happen. You feel as a kind of a feeling of, not oppression, but something is going on. There must be a crop circle arriving here. And it does. And then we do have to find where the blooming thing is, because it doesn't give us an address. You know, you have to find it. And so on. So it is very demanding. And all done with no money, of course, no association, but you know, nobody pays you to do that. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Explain the crop circles in most countries in the world.
Yes, the crop circles are all over the world, actually.
Andreas Muller's got a
Yeah.
bank of images,
Yeah,
10,000.
no, you want to say it, don't say it. No, I didn't mean it like that. Yeah. Well, yes, the people have collected all over the place, in America, in South America, in North America. You know, it's a subject that's been studied very much, and we have a lot of evidence that the crop circles they exist, and they produce these design, and you know, they're all over the world. It's not just in England. Yeah.
Excuse me, what happens to crop circles? What happens to them in time? Do they just grow out?
Well, they don't last very long. I mean, it comes on the land, the design is there. 2 or 3 weeks later, the summer is over, and the farmer plows, you know, plows the land and so on, and next year starts with something else. But the land that is, the crops, if a crop circle hit the floor, it hit the plants, not the plant, the ground, the next year, and this is, I've been told by a farmer about that, he says he hates the crop circle because it's never the same. It's taller, it's stronger, it doesn't... That's right, the machine don't function with it. And
Is it thicker then as well? Stronger?
Yes, it is strong, that's right. And the farmers say they hate it because it produces stuff that they shouldn't be producing. It's too big, it's too tall, doesn't fit the rest of the field. So that again, you know, it helps the land, the crop circles.
The analysis has shown there's huge increase in silica and nitrogen.
There we are. You know more about this with that particular stuff.
Sorry, I'm Francine's husband, John. I picked up a lot from what she said in past talks, but she's asked me just to emphasize that analysis has shown of the crop circle Earth inside the circle when compared to outside the circle, that there is a dramatic increase in the amount of silica and in nitrogen. And the question just then reiterates the fact that the following year, as you said, Francine, the crop grows stronger, taller, thicker, and it shows that perhaps farmers could be looking at other ways than artificial fertilizers and pesticides to grow crops generally.
John, I've got a question for you actually, following on from what you just said. Following you, the crop where the circle had been grows thicker and stronger. Is it visible compared
Yes.
to the rest of the field?
Yes.
Then?
Yeah, you get a shadow.
Yes.
Shadow.
Yes.
Shadow.
Yes. The shadow. Well, yes,
It's like a negative of it, is it?
where it's been hit, where the crop circle has gone into the land, into the earth, the farmers don't like it because the field is stronger. It received an input of energy. It grows taller, and it's not pliable so much. And the farmers, the machinery doesn't function with that. So that probably, so it's difficult for the farmers, and they don't like it because it's causing them problems, really, basically. But in actual fact, it's coming to make the soil better, which is unfortunately. But they don't see it like that, and they don't want to see it like that. And if I've been, I don't know, there are people, some people here feel like that, but well, I've lost my track now. What is it?
Well, when you photograph the next year, you see the shadow of the previous year's.
Yeah, well, I said that. I mean, it's true that, well, I've forgotten that, yes, in a year after, the soil is more rich, and therefore the plants grow stronger, and they're more difficult to deal with if you've got machinery and all the rest of it, and that's why the farmers are fed up with it, you see. It's difficult.
I've got to ask you something. Like a lot of scientifically minded people, I had previously thought the whole subject was nonsense. You have changed my mind.
Oh.
I must tell you.
After a lot.
Something for him to say.
But one of the important ones that nobody's asked yet is who do you think is doing this? Why are they doing this?
Well, why are we... Okay. The planet at the moment is in dire strait, and it is, something. It's not good. It's not good. So it needs help. And my vision of it is that something is helping the land at the moment, because you get this input of energy right in the place, and it does all this design and so on. So my opinion is that suddenly the soil is different. There's an input of energy. That area is very stronger and more fertile the year after. And instead of being grumpy and all the rest of it, people should try and find out why it is like that the soil is getting better, and they say...
I understand, that's a fairly good answer, but it doesn't... These are fractals.
Yes.
Why go into highly complex fractals just to change the Earth? That doesn't make any sense. There has to be something behind the designs themselves.
Yes.
They're clearly trying to say something.
Yes.
Assuming this is alien technology, they are trying to say something.
Yeah.
What do you think?
They're trying to save the planet, actually. They're trying to save the planet. The warning, it's a warning. And it's a warning, and I think that at first it was only, input of energy, so you'd have a circle, that's all, an input of energy. And when we began to be interested and think and ask questions, and my goodness, why is it this, and what is it doing, why is the soil different? And, and suddenly it started to expand, and so suddenly it started to send messages, you see. And it is, that is the fact, it's not a sentimentality, nothing like that. Something is happening. The soil here on the land, on planet Earth, is damaged now, And
when you showed pictures of water in which the water had altered, presumably, its molecular structure.
Yes.
Have you got any information about that? Any scientific information?
Yes, yes.
I would love to see it.
Yes, yes.
I would love to see that.
Yes.
In the book? In the book?
In the bucket?
Yeah.
In the book.
In the book? In the bucket. He's talking about water, I'm thinking bucket. Well, we're doing our best, and there's a lot of people working on it, and so on.
Is that what is happening? The molecular structure of the water itself has altered. Or these are photographs of what exactly? How? And what percentage close-up were those photographs taken? Do you know?
The magnification's 20,000.
20,000.
The actual magnification of each one is about 20,000 under the microscope, which shows the structure of the water. The water has a memory. I think people are learning to accept that now. So the actual image that's photographed has been changed by the energy in the crop circle to reflect the shape of the crop circle. So you can see mirrored the design of the crop circle in the water itself. So the water is picking up. So if you go into a crop circle...
I need to take some of those photographs to Swansea University? I'm serious.
Well, I've got plenty of photographs, tons of it. No, I've got a lot of photographs, yes.
But the thought is that if you go into a crop circle, you also, well, what, 80% water, blood? We're going to get an imprint of the crop circle as well. And that's why people go in and they flop down and fall asleep for what, an hour? Or something like that.
Yes, yes, that's
And
right.
they're being imprinted, which is quite an interesting thought.
Interesting. The whole thing is extremely interesting. I thought it was complete nonsense and I've changed my mind.
Thank you.
I now have a new subject to study.
Yes.
What do you know about the sounds that have been recorded in the crop?
Oh, the sounds. I could have brought them.
Recorded sounds in certain ones, isn't they?
Yes, yes. I could have brought that, but I didn't think of it. I didn't think there would be that. No, you know, it's not malicious, but I mean, I didn't think of it. It didn't come to my consciousness. But there is a sound in the crop circle, and it is absolutely amazing. I should have brought it. I have forgotten. I didn't think of it. But I do play it in my house, and you hear that extraordinary sound. Is amazing in the crop circle. Yeah, you go outside, there's nothing. You go in the crop circle, there is
And
something.
different in each one?
Huh?
Different sound in each one?
Yes, yes. Beautiful, really lovely. Yeah.
Have you found any circles in sand, ice,
Yes,
snow?
yes, yes.
Do you want to see an ice one?
Yeah, we've got one, a nice one actually. Where is it?
Like this?
Ice circles. Yeah.
But the ice circles are natural, aren't they? Those are natural.
Yeah. Well, yes, but it still looks like it's been cut. That is, in fact. You know, they turn, and there isn't necessarily a proper way of turning. But, you know, it's not like the crop circle, but it is another interesting thing happening, you know, that we don't know anything about. Gavin Muskell, again. You know, it's nature. It's nature. The crop circle, it's not nature. And the crop circle is made by a higher level, I think. It's a higher level. And we don't know where it's coming from. But they do tell you, I have been warned with the crop circle, don't come here, it's dangerous. And I argued with it. You know, it's in my mind, of course. I was walking to go to a place to sit down like with my group and watch a night watch on top of the hill as we were going there. And suddenly I get in my mind, you mustn't go there, it's dangerous for you. And I'm going, what? What is going on? You know, I'm sort of keep going, you know, what's going on? I mean, I'm just going, my group is waiting and I want to go and so on. You mustn't go there, it's dangerous for you. And I had to turn around. So, you know, turn around and go back home, it's just dangerous for you, you mustn't do that. So there is an intelligence there. But of course there is an intelligence.
Did you ever analyse the fruit, the seeds from these plants? You know, were there any changes within the seeds from a productive point of view, or just a structural point of view?
I don't have any recollection of doing that, of having these things done. You know, it didn't happen. No, it didn't. We did with other things, you know, but not that.
University of Warwick are going to be
Yeah, they're going.
doing
We did say that.
comparison of seeds.
Yeah, we are going to try. The University of
Warwick.
Warwick is going to start doing things like that. Yeah.
Have there been any checks done for radioactivity or magnetism in there?
Yes, and there's nothing dangerous about it. Yeah.
Nothing.
No, there's no nasty, and nothing. Actually, it's better than the rest of the field. Yeah, you know.
I know there's been, as you know, there have been some hoax ones done. Have you been in touch at all with the people that have done it?
It's very...
It's a sore subject, but it's interesting to know.
No, it's not so, but you know, the hoaxers like to say, "Ah, look at me, it's me, I've done it." Okay, all right, so I tried with the group that I had, and I say, okay, well, you've done that, and why don't you do another one for in front of us? Oh, no, I can't do that, you know. So it's a series of platitudes, actually. And these hoaxers are, well, they're just hoaxers, really. I see absolutely nothing that was valid in what they were doing, actually. Yeah. Yes.
You mentioned when you first started speaking that you came to Wales to look at Swansea, Wales?
Yes. There was a group of people in Wales when I started to do this work, but I don't know. They didn't last very long. I don't think, you know. But there was at the time there was a group that was studying the crop circles.
And what sort of areas of Wales were the crop circles appearing?
In the Wye Valley, I think.
Yeah, I think Wye Valley
Why that?
or something like that. Yeah. But you know, if you're in London and you're very taken with all that's going on, you don't take everything in. You know, and there's a vast area and so on. But I do know that they were here. Some of them were here to deal with the crop circle. You know, to work with the crop circle. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know if it's current at the moment. So, yeah. Maybe, hopefully, something will happen. Yeah.
You said these crop circles are all over the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Are there people all over the world looking into all this like as well?
Sorry.
There are people looking into these crop circles in other countries.
It would be very nice if people would do that, but it is a subject that is very difficult, very hard to find technicians who can do and help us in that field, because they think that people will laugh at them and so on. It's a very difficult subject. Yeah, and so, I mean, at some time, you know, we've tried all sorts of things like putting water in a crop circle and see what happens and the change that comes and so on. And there's been a lot of work done on the crop circles, but it's very, very difficult to publish it or to people to take it on. They always see it as being not serious. You know, it's not very serious, but it is very serious. But for them, it isn't like that. So we're not really well equipped for that kind of stuff anyway.
Shall I show the face?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, okay.
Where is that from?
It was here, wasn't it? I can't remember how
It's near Chilbolton.
Oh yes, that's right. It was on Chilbolton when they were going to do some pretty serious. What was it going on there?
There's a radar station there, and,
Yeah.
and they have dishes there that.
I don't know that much about it, but Chilbolton is in Wiltshire, and there are radar aerials and receptive ditches where they can receive images from space. And this crop circle appeared very near alongside, and people call it the face, but it was quite an extraordinary one.
No, there's the one at the top. Is that the one you wanted to see?
Oh yes, that's right.
It's the one at the top.
And this was another image that appeared, quite extraordinary. You can see each tram line is about 75 foot across. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tram lines. So it's about 500 foot across. And the what looks like a gramophone record has been diagnosed. I can't remember what was the message that it had. Francine.
Alan Foster knows.
Alan, that there is a false gift, set
Yes.
of broken promises.
That's it.
Right.
Well done. Very good. Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's wonderful. Yeah, and they're around.
So that's the more mysterious. So to reflect DNA.
Yeah. Of course we know. Yes.
Can you put the one on the face up again, please?
Okay.
Which one? That's not the one he means. I think he means
that one. Yeah.
that one. Okay.
It reminds me a little bit of the two-ring shroud,
Yes.
which I know Alan.
Yes, it was actually. Yeah.
Which I know Alan Foster's done a lot on the two-ring shroud and spot formations, isn't he?
Mm.
Has that occurred to you?
That's similar, isn't it? Yeah. There was some in 2010 that seemed to link definitely to the shroud.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Or 78. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Fractal.
Yeah. Beautiful fractal. Lovely. You'd swear that you could climb on it.
Quite strange.
Yeah, yeah. It goes down, 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 down.
What's the frequency where the crop circles appear throughout the world? Is it like one a year, two a year? How often do they occur?
The crop circles. We've had hundreds and hundreds of crop circles. And it's all over the world, it's not just here, it's in every country. You know, I've been all over the place with the crop circles. And it is, I think it's here to actually help us go through a difficult patch at the moment, you know, on the planet, and it is that we have to start thinking about how we treat our planet and so on. I see it like that, you know, and they show us all sorts of, well, all knowledge. I mean, a huge amount of knowledge has been in the crop circles, you know. And something?
Well, have to switch it off.
Oh, I thought we'd continue. It's quite nice.
Got a whole new
We have to
lecture.
stop. We have to stop. Yeah. Anyway, this is a very, very small thing, you know. I mean, the crop circles. There's so many,
Steve's got
hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Yeah.
I seem to remember a crop circle being formed somewhere. I think it was Hampshire way, next to a radio telescope.
Yes.
After SETI had sent out some
Yes.
transmission.
That's right. That's right. And I think I have
Was
gotten
something
there.
came back in response to that?
Yes. Yes.
What was that all about? Do you remember that?
So see if I can find it.
That's
Jill
Bolton as well, wasn't it?
Chilbolton.
That was it. That was the one. I
Yeah, the
said.
Chilbolton.
Yeah.
That was
It's got the
amazing.
Arecibo
Yeah.
satellite dish as well.
Yeah, I see. That's right.
That's an interesting one.
Right, it is. I mean, I don't know what you think, but to me, I think they come here to help us, you know, because we're not doing things very well on planet Earth, and you know, we have to change our outlook. It is important. This is my opinion.
Did you see any orbs or any light phenomena yourself?
We see a lot of that, but on our films. It's very rare to see it in the eye without eyes. Maybe it's because it's not good for the eyes, I don't know. But when we take a lot of photographs in the crop circles, that's what I was saying. It's not visible to the eye normally. You know.
Okay. Are there any more questions?
The one with the cord, in the cord being
The one with the corn and the corn.
Bent over, because it's not like
On the corn.
is it, when it bends at the door. This is, the corn is very thick, isn't it?
Yes.
How was that folded, or, you know, bent with the crop circle?
Okay, I'll visualize it. I'll show you. Oh. It's like this. It's like that.
Halfway up.
Well, it's longer like that, you know.
Right. And it wasn't snapped or nothing?
No.
Just bent like that?
No, it's not snap. It bends. That is extraordinary. It really is extraordinary because you know, it's very, very hard to bend. You have to break it. I know because I'm North American and Canadian, and I can tell you that it's not easy to do that. And it makes a mess. Here, the crop circle, it's like that. That's amazing. It really is amazing. Yeah.
You've got some sort of heat or something just to...
Well, there is a heat. I think that the crop circles, when they bend, there is a heat. Because it would break otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so every time we see it in the crop circle, because they're all bent in the crop circle, outside it's like that, but inside it's like this. None of them are broken, but they're bent. It defies the laws of it does. It defies.
You know, I go around with a pack of wood, you know, with
Yeah.
the corn, get over with the wheat, but the corn,
Yeah.
a different thing again, isn't it?
It is. It is. It is totally extraordinary, actually. Yeah.
Are they all bent at the same height?
Yes. They are bent the same height. And they can be that height, and they're like this. It's not necessarily on the ground. It can be halfway. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It really is mind-boggling. You know, they chunk like that, and it's not broken. That's amazing. I mean, it's not normal. It really isn't. Those who know would know that.
That's the Joe Bolton one.
Oh yes, have they seen that before? No. Jill Bolton. When can I change this?
SETI message. They were asking to see it.
Oh yeah. Well, there you are. Yeah, there is a script about it, and I don't have it. It says I don't have it, and I don't remember it actually. But it's to do with it is a message, and it, have I got a short?
It's in a way of poetry. I have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. What about this?
Those are the,
This one, this one.
one is the message sent out, and that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
one that came back.
Okay. I can't remember.
It says that humans of this height. No, I don't know.
Yeah, the first one is the message sent out from the RSC.
Yes, that's right, okay.
Yeah.
And then it was,
Here's your microphone.
we got an answer.
And that's the one that's the answer that came back in the crop
That's
formation,
right,
isn't it?
that's right, yeah, that's right. And what was the message, I don't remember.
Well, it,
There was a message.
if we pop it. Alan knows this better than me, but that's the RSC satellite.
Yeah,
That's the sun.
yeah,
And you've got Mercury, Venus, Earth is up.
it's up like that,
And then you've got
yes.
the rest of the planets in the system.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice there's only 8 who've missed out Pluto. So even then, we've got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. There's no Pluto. There's no Pluto, is that right? That's mankind is human form. Not sure what the rest of it is. I can't remember now. But then in the crop formation, you got the human form replaced by what we call a grey, if you like.
yeah, or little man.
And then you got this crop formation here. There's a reproduction of that one there that appeared.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a significant, and I'll get, yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Go back to that one again, please. And then
Oh, there you are. It
Yeah.
explains it there.
Is this a
Oh, there we
reply
are,
to Voyager 1? Is this a reply to Voyager 1?
This was
Yes.
an RSEVO message.
It is a
sent-
message.
Yeah, but that message was put on Voyager 1.
No, no,
It's not part of the
No.
No, it's not the Voyager one.
no, this was the RSEVO message.
Yeah, the telescope, the solar system,
As a binary code message.
the population data, we say that human, oh yeah, the DNA, double helix, that's what that is. And then nucleotides, yeah, this is to do with the DNA. And nombre atomiques. So number,
Because it's in French.
Atomic number.
yeah,
I can do it in French.
go on then.
Easier. Right, there's the thing. Formule. Okay. Le cadre des nombres. These are the codes with which we can detect it, open it up. Les hommes atomiques, les nombres atomiques.
Atomic numbers.
Yeah. Say it in English, nombres atomiques.
Atomic numbers.
Atomic numbers, that's right. And here is les formules pour les sucres et les nucléoïdes de l'ADN humain. Can you translate it? The formula for the sugar and the nucleotides of the ADN human. Here is the nombre de nucleotides, no, not ADN. This is talking about inside the DNA here, actually. And here's a double helix. And this is the kind of medium height of a human person. And here is the number of the population of the Earth. And our system, solar system, and the telescope Arecibo in Puerto Rico, the diameter of the telescope here. Is it clear or not very clear? Yeah, it's more or less that, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. So that's the signal at the centre, and then on the right is what the crop formation was.
Yeah.
You see their home planet, then it's... If you can have the... You should be doing... Alan should be doing this, don't you? Yeah. Just what I can remember. This is their home system.
Yeah.
We've got two planets high raised up, so it shows us two showing life. I'm not sure what this thing.
It's our solar system. It's showing the original message shows that Earth, which is raised up, is the planet of life where we come from. But on the actual crop formation, it shows three areas raised up, which is Earth, Mars, and the Galilean moons. So it's showing that there's life. In fact, there's more life in our solar system than just the Earth.
Right, so it's our system, not the home system, right? Yeah, and then that's their DNA, and everything that corresponds to our DNA. It's quite similar, our DNA, actually, if you look at it.
It's true. Yeah.
There's only a slight...
It's in the middle.
Slight difference.
It's in the middle.
Yeah, it's showing that the DNA is more advanced, either with ET or hybrid.
Yeah, there's difference there, isn't there? Right.
No, thank you.
Very interesting.
It is very interesting, and it's absolutely mind-boggling, actually. You know, that's why it's not so few people want to see these things. They don't want to see it because it's disturbing. You know, it's not. There are many more dimensions than we realize, and there is more life as well in the universe than we realize. That really helps us to understand actually. And that's why they come here, in fact, to send us these messages and to make us realize that there's more to it than what we're thinking, and so on. And to look after the planet and all this. There's a lot of information in these crop circles, actually. Yeah.
See Chilbolton there.
Yeah, Chilbolton.
There's that face thing at the bottom.
There's the
Yeah.
face there.
Well, where is it?
And there's the message there.
You can bring it down to see the face. Yes, I thought you could. Yeah.
Well, I've got the face here.
I thought you had yeah, yeah, there it is. There. Yeah. Funny enough, it looks like this. Right. Anyway, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? Actually, when you look at it, it's totally mind-boggling. So extraordinary. That face is amazing, really. The eyes are so there, really, and they look at us properly, aren't they? Yeah. Any more questions?
Right, okay, can you put your hand together for Francine?
Thank you very much for inviting us. Thank you.
Very good.